We have our second set of college football playoff rankings, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish remain ranked third for the second week in a row. While a bit of chaos hit the top 10 with Ohio State and Penn State's losses, Notre Dame did enough in their 4,837 win over Wake Forest to keep hold of their 3 ranking with their showdown with undefeated Miami looking large. Speaking of Miami, the Hurricanes vaulted up the rankings all the way to 7 after their impressive win over Virginia Tech in Miami last weekend. The Hurricanes jumped over Wisconsin 8, who won last week, setting up a matchup of 3 versus 7 this weekend in Hard Rock Stadium. It would have been nice if the Hurricanes can moved up ahead of TCU as well into 6, but should the Irish add a win over 7, you have to think that Notre Dame's resume will be near impossible to beat should they win out. Notre Dame's resume was enhanced this week more by their opponents than their own win over Wake Forest. USC's win over Arizona moved the Trojans up to 11. Michigan State meanwhile jumped to 12 after their upset of Penn State this past weekend. That movement gives Notre Dame 2 convincing wins over top 12 teams. Importantly for Notre Dame, NC State stayed in the top 25 at 23 as well, maintaining Notre Dame's 3 wins over top 25 opponents. The Wolfpack has only Boston College, Wake Forest, and North Carolina ahead of them on their schedule. Should they win out, they would conceivably end the season in the top 20. Stanford fell out of the top 25 with their loss last weekend, but the Irish still have a chance to add to an already impressive resume this weekend with Miami. At this rate, Notre Dame could conceivably end the season with wins over the Pac-12, SEC, and Big Ten champions. Georgia, Notre Dame's lone loss on the season, remained ranked 1 in the rankings this week, with Alabama just behind them again this week. In fact, the top 4 remained unchanged this week, with Clemson coming in at 4. The top 5 is rounded out with Oklahoma fresh off their video game-style win over Oklahoma State. Oklahoma will have a chance of their own this weekend to build their resume with a showdown with 6 TCU this weekend. The best-case scenario there for Notre Dame would be another shootout in the Big 12. The CFP committee seems to place a priority on defense. Additional chaos could be in store this weekend, with 1 Georgia facing off against 10 Auburn. For Notre Dame's sake, a Georgia win would be much more beneficial. Not only is Clemson's most impressive win of the season at this point over Auburn, but a 2-loss Auburn team fresh off a win over Georgia into 1-loss Georgia team would not be an ideal scenario for Notre Dame to have to deal with moving forward. That is, of course, if the Irish take care of business on Saturday night, because if they don't, none of this matters at all for Notre Dame.